My name's Dean, and I'm your host. You're listening to The Non-Typical Project. All right, we're live. All right, we're on episode, I don't know currently, guys. I think we're on episode 8. First off, this is going to be the episode following the DJ Riley episode. And man, I've got to thank you guys, just everybody that's tuned in. I've gotten some great messages from some of you guys now that you've been enjoying the podcast and enjoying some of the conversations I've been having, and just overall the general platform so far. So I really do appreciate that support. Appreciate you guys tuning in. That means a ton. This is all very fresh to me and very new to me. So getting positive feedback or hearing your guys' thoughts on a lot of this stuff means a lot to me, and I really do appreciate it and appreciate seeing all you guys listening. Today, main subject is going to be, again, this is a solo pod today, if I didn't make that clear. No guest today, it's just going to be me. We're going to be talking about the quote-unquote off-season, and I know that this is a subject that can kind of get, maybe misrepresented sometimes. I feel like you'll often hear people be like, there is no off-season, it's a 24/7, 365 grind, and it's like, oh man, like, all right, easy there, killer. All right, yeah, I agree with that sentiment a lot, but not always the way that it's presented. But we're going to be talking about this quote unquote off season. So I do agree with the sentiment, kind of starting off here, that there is no off season. This is whitetail hunting, bow hunting in general, that's a year round pursuit. And, if you're making that transition or making those efforts to be a consistent killer on public land, on private land, on whatever your pursuit is, it is something that you've got to work on all the time. And I'm in that position, I'm working on it all the time. So I'm going to basically be talking about some of those things I'm doing right now and how I structure my off season to make sure I have a successful deer season. And kind of some of the things that I do. So, and it is a daily thing, I will say that. So it is 24/7, 365, brother. It is that. I just don't tend to phrase it or present it that way. So kind of starting off here, I hate saying this way because you should grind out your deer season to the very end. And I always do. I will grind it out until the bitter end. But I do notice myself kind of, I don't know, I don't think getting lazy is the right word, but I think kind of almost taking it a little bit easier on myself in the late season. And what I mean by that is that a lot of those run and gun, aggressive, kicking indoors, jumping into bedrooms, like that sort of thing on public, I slowed down on that a little bit. And I kind of start hunting a little bit more like, almost like every set is an observation sit. And I think it's for a few reasons. Number one, the deer's pattern is shifting, and I'm always trying to I want to see as much ground as possible. And I'm not necessarily trying to get right on top of a bedding area. I might be focusing on those food sources more or whatever else. But I kind of say all this to you guys to say that, like, come January, I'm almost equally switching into a scouting. I'm scouting all season long, but I'm switching into a pattern of like almost focusing on almost pure observation sits more. And maybe that's a detriment sometimes to me in late season, but obviously if I see a big buck, I'm going to go in there and try to get it done. But I am kind of starting to observe more. And then I continue doing that post season. So my postseason, I mean, man, it can be the day after deer season and I'm back out scouting. We all love to shed hunt, and shed hunting's great. And I love going out and shed hunting and doing all that. And that's a ton of fun. But a couple of big advantages to late season. Number one, those late season food sources, especially you get like a few days at postseason to maybe a week or two postseason or something like that. And those deer kind of start to I would say within 2 to 3 weeks after season, I've noticed that some of those fields that you might not see deer in until after dark, you start seeing them pop up a lot earlier. Number one, it's frigid cold here in Missouri. And number two, um, the deer notice it pretty quickly when the pressure is no longer there. They notice that there isn't people. They're not picking up ground scent all the time. They're not seeing people driving around and parking in parking lots. They're not seeing all that stuff anymore, and they're not smelling all that stuff anymore. And especially when you get into deer that are, 3 years old, 4 years old, whatever, I personally believe that they have that time clock. They've been through it a few years, and they know that they get to that bitter end of winter and that the human traffic kind of slows down. That's kind of my theory. But you'll notice that a lot of these food sources start populating with deer again. And I love taking that time to drive around and from a distance go back to what I was doing in the summer. I like driving around and glassing fields post-season and just kind of watching the deer and seeing what bucks are out, those that are still holding their antlers and what they're doing. And I mean, I was out doing it the other day, just watching deer, glassing them, looking at bucks, seeing some bucks have one side missing or whatever else gives me a good idea when they're starting to shed, so I can get out there before the rest of the crowd and pick up a few shed antlers. And on top of that, I'm able to see what bucks made it through season. So maybe there's some bucks that I was familiar with throughout the year that I didn't catch up to, or maybe lost track of them or whatever you have. I'm able to maybe get a glimpse of them, and I've had that a few times in the past where I'm able to, the few weeks following season, they're out on those food sources again in daylight, and I'm able to put a bead on him and say, okay, he survived. This buck survived. I haven't seen this buck before, and he's out there, so I know he's there for next year. So that's kind of number one. That's my immediate reaction postseason, is to go back into my summertime mission objective, which is just driving around glassing for deer. Um, Now we start pushing into, February here where we're at right now. By this time of year, I'm doing a couple things. Number one, I am tearing my bow apart. Now, the reason I do it is I've only got one bow. I don't have two bows. I only got the one. So I use my hunting bow as my target and competition bow in the off season. I absolutely have fallen in love with target archery, competition archery, in the last probably 3 years or so. And I've fallen in love with it for a few reasons. Number one, I love being competitive. I love going and testing myself against other people and against myself. I love just the competing environment, right? That's fun to me. Beyond that, it has helped me so much with bow hunting, and I know that that's something I brought up recently, like on the Paige Pierce podcast and a few others, but I can't emphasize it enough. Target and competition archery has genuinely helped my archery hunting game, and if it's not something you guys do currently, I strongly encourage you to just go try it. Just go try it. It hurts nothing. Obviously, I'm at the point where I tear my bow apart and I'll go buy competition, I'll go buy a separate set of arrows for competition. I'll buy target shafts, and I'll go buy a competition sight, and I'll go buy stabilizers and peep sights and lenses and all this good stuff, right? I love deep diving. I love gear. If I get into a new hobby, I love geeking out on gear. I think that's super fun. I love, getting new gadgets. Like that sort of thing puts a smile on my face every single time. I love new gadgets. That being said, it's 100% optional. You do not need that stuff. You don't need any of it. You don't need all of the gear and all the, fancy competition sites and these scopes and all. You don't need that stuff. When you're talking about ASA or even, uh, a few other, like if you think like your 3D tournaments where they got the 3D foam animal targets out, you can go in there with the same arrows, same setup, same everything you use during your archery hunting season and go out there and compete. Usually these tournaments, these events that they put on, there is a bow hunter class that doesn't allow people to use lenses, doesn't allow them to use competition stabilizers, doesn't allow them to use all the extra stuff. So you can compete against other guys that are just using a bow hunting setup. So if you don't want to invest in all the stuff, you can still get involved and go do that. Couple benefits out of this. Number one, the benefit you get from competing with your archery gear is going to help keep you calm in a high pressure situation when you're hunting. You get those nerves, you get those flutters, you get that whatever when you got a big buck in front of you and he's coming in and your heart's thumping out of your chest and you're shaking and whatever else. That doesn't hold and I'm weird in this way. Some people feel the opposite way, but that does not come close to the pressure that I personally feel when I've got people watching me shoot my bow, especially watching me shoot my bow when there's something on the line, whether it's just a for fun tournament and it's just for bragging rights, or let's say it's for, let's say it's a money shoot. You pay your $20 entry fee or whatever. Whoever wins this tournament's going home with, 400, $500, maybe 1,000, depending on what class you're in. It could be more. This year in Tennessee, ASA is putting on a shoot. It's going to be bow hunter setup. None of the fancy competition stuff. It's going to be a bow hunter setup, and the payout for first place is $60,000. I'm going to say that again. The payout is going to be $60,000. You want to talk about pressure? Well, there's your chance, right? And that shoot's going to be in August. So if you ever wanted to, this is your season. Go out there, go to your local 3D tournaments, go to your whatever. Practice, practice, practice. Get good at shooting tournaments and go to that shoot in August in Tennessee and put yourself in the competition. Put yourself up, you're up for grabs. The money's up for grabs. It's an option. So for me, shooting under that kind of pressure where there's something on the line and then there's people watching me, I don't know why. I don't really have stage fright, right? Like I can do this podcast. I can public speak, I can do all these things, but for some reason, shooting my bow in front of people is a big source of nervousness. Like, because you got guys that are holding their binos up to see where you're going to hit on the target. You got guys that are trying to see who's kind of got the edge. And so that almost adds to it a little bit, knowing that there's so many eyes on you. So when I went through all of that, my following deer seasons I almost felt more calm shooting at deer because I sat there and I was like, there's no one watching me. The only parties of consequence are me and the deer, so it's like there's no one watching me. It feels a lot less, high pressure. And that was personally a big benefit to me. Number two, man, if you are that guy right now that hangs your bow up at the end of deer season and you do not pick that darn thing up until July or August, you are shooting yourself in the foot. 100%. 100% shooting yourself in the foot. You have to think about the fact that, oh man, I picked my bow up in July or August and, I shoot every night after work or I do whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm a little bit rusty when I pick it up, but I get back in the groove and I'm shooting okay again. That's awesome. But how good do you think you'd be shooting if you were shooting it? I'm not even saying every day. You're shooting it once a week the whole year versus cramming as many shots through your bow as you can from July to August. You'd surprise yourself. And you'd surprise yourself on how far of a shot you're confident in taking and how much you can increase your draw weight, right? I'm by no means the biggest, most muscular dude out there, right? I shoot an 80-pound bow. My bow usually draws about 83 pounds in season, and a lot of guys say, well, you don't need that much. You don't need that much. Yeah, I don't. You're right. You don't need 83 pounds to kill a whitetail. But I'll tell you where it does help me in the whitetail woods is that my pin gap between 30 and 40 yards is very small. My pin gap between 40 and 50 yards is very small. So I have a lot more speed behind my arrow, and my pin gap is smaller, and I'm a lot more confident at distance. Well, Dean, you shouldn't shoot a deer at 70 yards. You shouldn't, whatever. Okay. Well, this year, I shot my deer at 43. He ran to 73, and I had the opportunity for a follow-up shot, and I took my opportunity for a follow-up shot. So I had 2 arrows in that deer, and I hit him with both, and the second one was at 73. So if you can't shoot to 73, you can't get a good follow-up shot if the opportunity presents itself. So I usually practice out to 100, and I probably wouldn't be pulling 83 pounds in season if I wasn't shooting all year long. I flat out wouldn't. I wouldn't I wouldn't have trained those muscles up enough to be comfortable pulling that. But I can pull 83 pounds in the dead of December with layers on because 83 feels very comfortable. And that comes just through repetition. I'm by no means the best archer on the planet. I'm honestly a pretty mediocre archer, but I practice so much and I shoot my bow so much in season and out of season that I can curb my mediocre archery talent through a bunch of extra work in the off season. So competition archery is a big key to my game at this point, and I encourage you guys heavily. If you're not sure how to start or how to get started, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Whatever you got to do, I'll help you out. I'll let you know. I'll give you all the information I've got. But I think that if more people were involved in that and more people did that, man, I mean, those times were, and if we're being honest, it's happened to all of us. Those times where you just bombed a shot at like 30 yards because of pressure or because you used the wrong pin, something dumb happened, and you missed a deer, you'd be surprised how much less that would ever happen to you if you were in competition archery or something like that. You get so much more intimate with your gear. You know your bow so much better, and it just makes a world of difference. So that's kind of number one for me right now. Number two, we're getting into February, been glassing deer, been watching over these food sources, doing all that good stuff. Now I'm starting to shed hunt. This is more of a passion thing, but I love picking up sheds. So we're going out shed hunting. Right now is a good time to do it. I'd say like this, pretty much through the month of February. You get into like March, man, there's so many guys that have been stomping through the woods. You can still find them, but a lot of them have been picked up by March. So February, get out there good and early, and you'll probably have better success shed hunting. But shed hunting is something that's what I'm going out in the woods to do in February when I'm not messing with my target archery gear, when I'm not shooting a competition, when I'm not doing whatever. Shed hunting is something I'm going out into the woods to do, but it's not necessarily the main objective of being in the woods, if that makes sense. I'm leaving the house to go shed hunting, but when I step foot in the woods, my main objective is I got snow on the ground right now. If you don't have snow on the ground, okay, then you can still, if you're a hunter, you can go through the woods and you can pick out trails. Man, late season is the best time to do this. You don't have all that foliage, you don't have all that tall, high grass anymore. You might have snow on the ground, you might not, and you can pick out a bunch of trails pretty quick, and you can run those trails. I will walk straight through bedrooms, and I do not care if I bump up 300 deer. Do not care. Season's over. It's not going to be back until September here in Missouri. These deer have months. They have months to get over the fact that I trampled all over their bedding area. I'm going straight through every part of that property that I would not have wanted to completely blow up. I'm doing that now. I'm laying waste to the land. I'm putting on miles. I don't care what I turn over. This is my chance to explore. And I've got a huge habit of this. I've got that wanderlust, like what's over the next hill, what's around the next creek bend. Man, if I go another 100 yards, like I have that in me real bad. And I have to kind of hone it back in deer season. And I'm like, I'm in a bedding area. Like I'm in this, like I want to kind of play this a little bit smart, unless I know where a buck's at. If I know where a buck's at, I'm going straight through the bedding area and I'm going to set up on top of them best that I can, right? But let's say I'm on a new property in season, or I'm trying to shift over or whatever, and I'm trying to kind of get some intel, I'm not necessarily going in there trying to trample a bedding area. Late season, I am trying to trample bedding areas. And by late season, I mean postseason, like right now. So like those couple weeks after season ends, all through February, I'm going to trample bedding areas. It doesn't matter. It's of no consequence to my following September. Doesn't matter. So I'm going in there. Number one, great. I get to pick up sheds. Number two, you will pick up on things that you just cannot pick up on maps. This is my opportunity to do that. I'm going to go find things I couldn't find on maps. I'm going to go jump into areas that I didn't even really consider hunting or didn't scout properly throughout the season. I'll intermittently throughout season drop pins on stuff that look interesting to me, but not interesting enough to go give it a bunch of time and scout or whatever. I'll go revisit that after season's over and just go, like I said, firebomb the area. Run laps through it, whatever, to discover whatever I can. If I start picking up sheds, a ton of tracks, discover something back there, maybe a good, a crossing, a water crossing or something like that, I'm now putting the pieces of the puzzle together to that area that I hadn't explored previously. So this is my chance, like I've got a property, actually the property that I killed my buck on this year. I scouted it over the summer. I found a buck. I found his bedding area. I went in there. I killed a buck. That was it, right? That's how I want my hunts to go. That's if they all go like that, I'm doing it right. You know what I mean? Like I went in there, found the buck, found his bedding, set up on top of him, killed him. But what I didn't do a ton of was really explore the area. So like this postseason, I'm gonna go explore that whole area. I'm gonna walk all over it, just to really understand it as a whole. Like I understood that buck, understood the port of the area that he was using, and figured him out enough to be able to kill him. But now let's go ahead and explore the rest of this area. So that's what I'm going to spend this doing. Exploring the area, putting pieces together, figuring out how different bedding areas connect. And actually, one thing I really want to figure out is how that area works in the rut. I found a really big like rut hub there in November, but I didn't, again, explore it that much. I was finding the hot activity, finding the hot does in the area where all the chaos was going on during the rut. But for the life of me, I'm like, why are they here? Like, why is this the hub right now? And so I think a little bit more observation exploring throughout the late season will maybe help me put that together a little bit more. I have an idea of why they're using it. Major bedding surrounded by food. Bingo, Dean, you figured it out. Sure. Right? I could leave it at that. I don't want to, though, because there are certain funnels that I noticed that the activity was favoring. Certain funnels that the activity was going to, but it wasn't as hot as some other funnels. Okay, so why is this funnel the one? Well, this postseason is my opportunity to study that deeper. I want to figure out why they were using this particular funnel through this bedding area. Why are they using this? Follow those trails, figure out exactly what all they lead out to. Yes, I can use a map to get an idea of it, but until I put my boots on the ground and follow those trails all the way out and really get a lay for the land with my boots, right? Boots on the ground, I can't understand it intimately enough just from the map. So this is my chance to do that. Find sheds, do all that good stuff, and just understand the properties better. Like I said, shed hunting is, I'll go to some private pieces or whatever and go pick up all the sheds I want to, and that's great. But shed hunting doesn't always mean shed hunting. Sometimes it means just exploring properties, and that's kind of the objective there. Then we're going to get into March. Like I said, March, I'm mainly focused on the competition season. I am rolling around in March. I will be exploring new properties. The weather's going to be nicer. I want to go find new properties to hunt in the upcoming fall. So March is going to be a lot of my new property exploration. I have pins dropped on properties that I've been meaning to go check out and just never did. And sometimes you get into the summertime and scouting velvet bucks, and you find a few bucks that you'd put on the hit list, and you start watching them and studying them and getting all the intel you can on those bucks to get them down, come early season. So I'm probably not like if I find my target bucks, if I find my target bucks in July, right? I will go explore new properties still in that time, sure, but I'm going to be spending a lot of time watching those target bucks, studying them. In March, I don't have a target buck. Those bucks aren't even hardly growing antlers yet. So I don't have a target buck. So there's no excuse not to go look for new properties. See how they lay out, see how many deer I can see out and stuff like that. So March is a really good time frame for me. March and April, May. So like that whole 3-month block. Now April, May, we're getting into turkey season. So once again, turkey season is deer scouting with a shotgun. Before the DNR gets on me. I don't mean shotgun and deer going together. I mean, I've got a shotgun with me to hunt turkey, but I like this year I went to new properties that I wanted to scout and wanted to scout on foot. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'm going to take a turkey decoy with me and my shotgun. I have no idea if there's turkey on this property. I don't really care. I'm going to go look and scout this property out for deer because I haven't been here before and I want to check it out. And if I happen to hear a gobble first thing in the morning, I'm going to try to get that bird down, So it's kind of like yeah, I love turkey hunting, but I've got deer on the mind all year long. So I'm just going out there and I'm an opportunistic turkey hunter. I'm very opportunistic. I'm not passing a gobbler because he's got a 6-inch beard instead of a 10-inch beard. I don't care. He's got a full fan. All right, he's going down. That's all I care about. I'm not a very picky turkey hunter. I love turkey hunting. It's a blast. I am not serious about it. Like I would never go. Oh, I'm not going to say that. I would go out of state to hunt turkey, but if it was like, okay, you can either go out of state on 2 turkey hunts or you can go out of state on 1 deer hunt, it's the deer hunt. 100 out of 100 times, I will forego out of state turkey hunting for the sake of out of state deer hunting every single time. So that being said, when I'm out there turkey hunting, it's a lot of my turkey hunts are on properties I've never been on before, places I've never been. And that's purely because it's an excuse to go out, walk around, chirp a turkey call, and go just put miles on the ground, picking up morels, shooting at turkeys, and looking for deer sign. And it's also that good time of year where you might start having some growth popping up, or you might see some fields tilled or some fields not tilled, and you get an idea of what might be turning into crop later in the year. So that's kind of a ticket for me too. I do like investigating that during turkey season. So birds on the brain, but it's not the big goal for me during that time period. So that's kind of how I structure my off season. It's a whole bunch of other hobbies, but it's all kind of leading back to whitetail, right? It's competition shooting, but I got into competition shooting to be a better bow hunter. It is shed hunting, but not really shed hunting as much as it is just exploring a property. It's turkey hunting, but it's not really just turkey hunting. It's turkey hunting to go look at new properties and to go check out places I've never been before. It's all of these other pursuits that I do love and I've got a passion for, but all roads lead back to deer hunting. And one really great example I'll give of this was I was looking for somewhere to turkey hunt this year. And while doing that, I found a property pop up on the map that was fairly nearby to me. Like it wasn't too far. It was pretty comfortable driving distance. And I was like, man, how did I not know that this place existed? Because I've been living here and I know the area or whatever. And got to looking around and I found a couple small patches. These are tiny, tiny, tiny properties. But I was like, well, great. Turkey season's coming up. I'm going to go out there to turkey hunt. But I'm really gonna check this out because I want to know if there's deer there. And what I found was I found these two properties that had absolutely zero pressure during turkey season. No one there, not a soul in sight, and there were birds on the properties. On top of that, I ended up discovering properties that, without giving too much away, had like multiple hoops to jump through. Like, it wasn't just to go jump on the property and go hunt it. There was actually like regulations on stuff that you had to get done and stuff that you had to do in order to go hunt these properties. But they're public land. You just have to go basically file some paperwork. Um, so going through that, like going out there to go turkey hunt, well, I didn't end up turkey hunting that first time I went out there because I had to go do paperwork. I did paperwork, ended up coming back, and they let me go turkey hunt. But the first time I went out to that property, it was just on a whim. And then I get to the area, I read the signs. Oh, you got to do this and that. And it's like, oh, immediately just the ding, 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 lights going off. And I'm like, okay, so he found a small property, easy to overlook. There's barriers to entry on this property. So you add all those factors together, and it is very safe to assume that your pressure is going to be much less than on your standard walk-in big DNR property, right? And I ended up going out to that property, and I found a number of hammer bucks. I mean, giants on that property. It was a very difficult property to hunt, but man, there's awesome age class deer there, awesome size deer there, and the same can be said for the other property. Less so on the um boundaries, as far as like, the hoops to jump through for entry or whatever. That's not really a thing on the other property, but it's small, easy to look over, not a ton of pressure, not that many hunters out there, and some freaking slammer deer. So those are two properties right there that are within pretty easy driving distance of me, that I wasn't familiar with before this last year, produced really good deer, and I discovered them through turkey hunting. Like, turkey hunting was the ticket to me figuring these properties out. So don't overlook those opportunities. That kind of be my overall message for, this turkey season and all, and, shed hunting or whatever else you're going to go do. Like, it's very easy to say, I'm going to go to the properties that I know or the properties that I like or whatever, and I just want to go home with a bundle of sheds, or I want to go turkey hunting and I just want to bag a gobbler. And if that's what you want to do, by all means, go do that. God bless you. I hope you do. But don't overlook the opportunities that you have, that you're going out into the field anyways. You're going out to go hunt or go do whatever you're going to do anyways. Why not? Why not go check out Onyx, check out Spartan Forge, whatever your chosen app is, and just drop a freaking pin on a property that you've never been to and go out and do it there. Like, you'd be amazed what you can find, um, just by giving it a chance during those seasons that, maybe you don't, maybe you don't, I don't want to say take it as seriously, because you might take turkey hunting just as seriously as whitetail, but I don't. Turkey hunting is just it's just that's like a hang for me, like turkey camp, hanging out with the buddies, doing whatever, and just having fun. Deer hunting is like locked in, serious, all systems go, you know, love my buddies, but I'm not setting up big deer camp. I'm going out to go get a giant, and that's the objective. And we're gonna call each other or hang out after shooting light's over. But until then, I'm not. It's not really a hang for me. It's more of a get some business done here sort of thing. Turkey hunting's not that for me. So turkey hunting is that time where I can be like, all right, I'm going out here to do this to have fun. If I get a bird, I get a bird. If I don't, I don't. And that's why it's so easy for me to take that time period and be like, I'm just gonna go to a property I've never been to. there might not be a freaking bird on this place. That's okay. I'm gonna figure out if there's deer here at a minimum. So don't be shy at doing stuff like that. That'll provide, it provided me more opportunities than almost anything else has. Like turkey hunting and shed hunting and like postseason exploring properties. That alone has brought more new properties to me that I ended up killing deer on than pretty much anything else. Taking a sip here. Um, so yeah, that's one of those key tickets. Now the other thing, let's say you're not. So no, that's my scouting spiel that I'll give you guys. Now a little bit back on the archery side. Archery side, and I should have brought this up earlier, but I'll bring it up now. So to me, I make a note of the distances I shoot my deer at, right? I know that I shot my buck at 43 this year. Then he ran off and he stopped 30 yards away and I shot him again at 73. Those are very, very distinct numbers to me. Now, maybe you shot a couple deer this last year. Maybe you shot some does. Make a note of the distances you shot those deer at. I am a big believer in this program. I take those distances that I shot my deer at this year, and I go back out postseason with my bow, and I shoot groups at those specific yardages. It is so easy to, in July, August, whatever, break your bow out, sight your bow in, and then shoot at 20 yards, then 30 yards, then 40 yards, then 50 yards, then 60 yards, whatever. Do your 10-yard increments. How often in the woods do you shoot deer at a perfect 20 or a perfect 30 or a perfect 40 or a perfect 50? Because for me, it's almost never. I almost never shoot them at a perfect 20, 30, 40. It's a 43. It's a 37. It's a 35. It's a 46. It's all these split distances. Shoot your pin gap. Practice those in-between distances. But you might think like, 20, 25 isn't that big of a deal. Okay, sure. You're shooting 300 plus feet per second. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe 20 to 25, you're still in the lungs. But are you still going to say it's not a big deal from 30 to 35? Or from 40 to 45? Your arrow's going to drop. And you need to be comfortable shooting that pin gap. Like that's been huge for me, is practicing my pin gaps, because I've got a little bit of astigmatism, right? So my pin's already starburst when I look at them, right? So my pins are already starbursting, and then I have to shoot a pin gap on top of it. I am shooting at a blurred mess. The deer can be at 35 yards, and it's a 30 to 40 yard pin gap, right? I'm shooting between those two pins, and I'm shooting at them through two blurred pins, So it's very important for me to practice that, because I know I have astigmatism, and if it's low light or whatever else, I'm like, oh boy, if I didn't practice my pin gap, I'd probably be in trouble shooting it. But I make it a point to practice those pin gap yardages, because I know that if I don't, I'll screw it up. So I make a mental note of those yardages I shoot my deer at, and I'll go just for the heck of it. I'll go shoot at a target at 43 and just shoot a 5-arrow group at 43. Pull my arrows and back up to 73 and shoot a 5-arrow group at 73. And just kind of practice those pin gap yardages, because it's a very useful skill, and it's something that you kind of have to utilize, I'd say, more often than not, because it's not every deer. And as a matter of fact, it's not most of them that you get to shoot them at a perfect 10-yard increment, Yeah, it happens, but not that often. So shooting for your pin gap, that's just a side note that I had to make there. That's something that it popped back into my head after talking about the scouting, and I was like, yeah, that's something I've been working on, and something that I will continue to work on, because it's so freaking important. Just to make sure that, again, when you're in that moment and you have that opportunity, that you're like, oh well, he was maybe like 34 and I shot him for 30 and the shot looked low and blah, blah. You can eliminate that just by learning to very competently shoot your pin gap and understand how you shoot when you're shooting your pin gap. So little bit of a side note there, kind of touching back on the archery side of things, but covered a little bit of the deer scouting, covered a little bit of the shed hunting, turkey hunting stuff, and the competition archery and staying sharp with your archery gear. Other than that, man, maintenance. So postseason maintenance is big. I have this every year, and I'm sure you guys do too. Um, you have like one piece of gear or one thing that's just been a thorn in your side the whole season. You're like, man, this one piece of gear is junk, or it's just not working. It's screwing up my program, whatever that is. For me, that piece of gear this whole year has been my freaking camera arm. I'm using a clunker of a camera arm that is heavy. It is awkward. It doesn't even work that freaking good. So immediately going into next season, I'm looking for a replacement camera arm. I need a different camera arm that works better for me, packs down tighter, is lighter, and that I can function with. I think if I figured out my camera arm situation, I'd probably be just about perfect on my setup, like right where I want to be. Um, I might pick up another saddle going into this year too. I've been running the Latitude Method 3. Absolutely freaking love that thing. It's been super comfortable. I've got some lower back pain, so that Method 3 has been helping me out a ton. But I will say this, early season, it's a little bit hot. It's a thick saddle, so it is kind of hot when we have those 90-degree days in early season. So I might pick up a light kind of mesh-based saddle just for the early season months where it's hot, so I got a little bit more airflow and can stay a little bit cooler. Uh, but outside of that, I'm always changing things on my bow. So this is kind of archery talk, but also this I lump this in with gear and maintenance. Boy, oh boy, I don't know how many of you guys listening to this have this issue, but I know I run into a bunch of guys every year that sit back and say, ah, man, I haven't changed the strings on that bow in 3 years, 4 years. Please change your strings. I used to be an archery tech back in the day, back in college. Man, I'd run into guys all the time running the same strings for years, and their peeps twisting all over the place, and they're like, man, I was sighted in one day and now the next day everything is all funky. And it's like, brother, let's get you some new strings. Let's do that. I tend to buy new strings either every year or every other year. I like the longest I'll run a set of strings for is 2 years. I try to change them every year. And a big part of that is, I shoot a ton of arrows through my bow. I shoot a lot more than most people do, so my strings just get a lot more abuse. Um, so for me, ordering new strings, if you're gonna do this, now's the time. Like February, March, April, go order your strings. You'll get them in super fast because nobody's really ordering strings this time of year that often. Whereas like you get to like June, July, June's still not too horrible, but it's starting to pick up. July, August, there's been times where I was a bow tech and dude, people would order strings at the beginning of August and we would just look at them and be like, all right, we're putting your order in, but your strings are not going to be here until like the end of September because everyone's ordering strings right now. So like the manufacturers are just backed up and orders are like a month and a half out and you can't get strings in. So if you, if you've been running the same strings for a while or this reminded you like, hey, I might want to get some new strings for my bow or whatever, do that now. Do that now. You can go to your local pro shop and order some strings in. You can go online and order strings. There's a bunch of great companies. Gas makes great strings. A3 makes great strings. Mad Goat makes great strings. There's a bunch of companies out there that are making fantastic strings these days. It's worth it to go get yourself a really good set of strings. The last thing you need is to have a bow that you're having trouble tuning, having trouble getting your peep to sit straight, having trouble, bare bones getting things done that you need to do. Like your string plays a critical role in how well your bow can perform. If you got bad strings, you got a bad bow. It's that simple. You can have the best bow on the market, and if you got junker strings or worn out strings or whatever else, it does not matter. I don't care what bow you're shooting. It can be the new flagship bow. You got junker strings on it, it's going to perform like junk. So it's a worthy investment, and it's something that you should go ahead and try to get in right now. I actually have a set of strings on the way right now. I ordered them like 2-3 days ago. They'll probably be here by the end of this week or early next week. It is quick this time of year, so it's definitely worth it to go ahead and do that. The next order of business, I'm very, very happy with my sight right now. I'm running an Excel AccuStat housing, so that's my preferred sight for hunting. I think it's a absolutely banging sight. I run it on an Achieve XP with an Elvish Tac sight light. That stuff is a little bit pricey, but it's just been a freaking bulletproof setup for me. That's another big one I learned when I was in college. Man, I was shooting an old Matthews Halon. I was in love with that bow. Uh, Pretty much because all throughout high school, like I was watching the hunting shows and the Halon 6 had come out, and I'm like, oh man, like that's the banger bow. That's what I need. So I saved up some money, and in college I bought a used Halon 6. Little did I know at that time that bow is just not meant for me. I have a really long draw length, and that bow is pretty short axle to axle, so I had a pretty egregious string angle, and I tried to force myself to love that bow, but it just was not for me. So I'm now shooting a Lift 33, which is a much better fit. But I had that bow, and I was running kind of a clunker sight on there, like a really, really cheap sight. And again, that's one of those pieces of gear I just had to upgrade in the off season because um a cheaper sight like that, like I strapped it to my backpack one day, climbed up the tree, got set up on top of a buck. I knew he was there. He pops out at 30 yards. I was just shooting this bow earlier that day, and buck comes out to 30 yards. I draw back. I hit the dirt like 2 feet in front of him. Just in the act of like strapping that bow to my backpack, climbing up the tree, that was enough to knock that sight off completely. So if you're in that position where you want to get a new sight, want to get new strings, want to get new whatever, or maybe you hadn't even been thinking about it, but now you're kind of, hopefully this jog your memory a little bit of some stuff that you wouldn't mind upgrading. Now is a freaking fantastic time to do it, and to get confident with it and get good with that gear. On my end, I'll probably be upgrading my rest before next season, not because it's having performance issues. It's just 5 years old, and I'm about ready for a new one. Rests have gotten significantly better in the last 5 years, so I know that I can get a much higher performing rest. Not that there's anything wrong with this one, it's just time. I got a good 5 years of service out of this one, so I tend to look at all of my gear as year-long investments. So if I spend $300 on a piece of gear and I run it for 6 years, all right, cool. I paid $50 a year to use this piece of gear, like during the lifespan. That's not that bad, right? So that's how I justify things to myself. That's probably why I'm like hunting broke. It's because I look at everything like that. I'm like, oh well, if I keep this thing in the drawer for 10 years, really, I only spent, like that's not really how it works, but I like to tell myself that. So it's a good excuse to get some more stuff in. Like I said, I'm a gadget guy. So that's been one of the things that I enjoy doing is upgrading those little things throughout the years, and getting new stuff in that'll serve me a little bit better. But outside of my strings and my rest, honestly, everything else in my bow, very happy with. That Lift 33, I know that it's now 2 generations behind, I guess, because we had the Lift X and then we had the Matthews Arc come out this year. Personally, I'm happy with my lift. I shoot it really, really well. I'm very happy with the system that I have right now, so I don't plan on changing my bow out quite yet. I might give it another year or two before I switch that out. I have an entirely new self-filming setup for this year. So outside of the camera arm, I don't have anything to upgrade as far as cameras go. I'm running a GoPro Hero 9 Black. I'm running a Sony A7S III with a 24 to 240 mil lens. So that's brand spanking new. I just got it in November. Um, so between those two cameras, I've got pretty much everything I need right there for all my self-filming needs. And then I've got a little uh, Canon, I believe, or no, I think it's a Sony. I think it's a Sony FDR AX33. I'm gonna pull it out real quick, actually, because I have it in a bag next to me. Yeah, it's a oh, just dropped some weights. So it's a Sony FDR AX33, and it's a little handy cam, like a little point and shoot camcorder. I originally bought that to be my main camera this season, and then I decided to just fully commit and get the best camera I could get, which was the A7S III. And originally I thought like, okay, I'll go ahead and sell this camcorder because I don't need it now that I have this, uh, much higher end camera option. But I actually am now deciding to keep it. And a part of the reason I'm keeping that camcorder is because it has this night mode function where it does like that kind of old cheesy, like turn everything green night vision. And I actually found that during my rut hunt, I really enjoyed that because when I got back to the truck, or if I was sleeping out of the back of my truck for 9 days, right? I get back to the truck and I pop that little handy cam out and turn on that night vision mode. And I'm all green and alien looking, and I'm laying in my sleeping bag in the back seat, my back twisted 6 different ways it's not supposed to be. And I was able to just kind of give like yeah, this is, kind of what I did today. This is my plan for the morning. I'm gonna hit the hay and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. And I was doing that little kind of thing. It gave a different like look and gave a different feel. And I actually came to really like that. So I'm now in the position where I'm like, I'm actually gonna keep that camcorder for exactly those moments and not really for anything else, just because I feel like it adds some depth to the videos. And um I've been like, I started self-filming hunts and doing all this stuff like back in high school, but I haven't really been uploading those videos. Like in high school I did, but they're all privatized now. And like these last 3 years or so, I've been self-filming my hunts and stuff, but I haven't really been posting the videos or doing anything with them. I'm just kind of self-filming them and keeping them right now. Um, and so a part of that is I don't want to release a video unless I'm really, really proud of it. And I've been very much so nitpicking all of my self-filmed hunts lately, about little things I didn't like, or I wish I did that better, and I haven't been putting them out. And maybe that'll change here this next season, if I think that that's something that people do want to see. But what is going to happen here is now that I have all these different cameras and all these different options, uh, I want to put together, I actually have an idea for like this upcoming season of a video I want to put together, and it actually ties back to the podcast. So it might be like the first official video for like the non-typical project on YouTube, and doing like a hunt film style thing. I've got an idea for it. It's going to tie back to the podcast. And I guess I'll give a little teaser to it here. Um, every episode of the podcast, I ask the guests what piece of advice they have. So I want to find a way to tie in those clips of those pieces of advice and fill them into a video, like a hunt film, next season, and find a way to tie them into the video. So I think that that's something I want to work on. I think it'd be a really, really cool way to kind of, give props to the guests that I've had so far, a little bit of a callback to the podcast episodes, and tie it all into a hunt film. So that's kind of my idea. I've been playing around with that. I think it'd be fun. If you guys do want to see that, like I said, pop a comment under this podcast or like shoot me a DM or whatever. I'm trying to find a good way to piece that together, but I think it could be really, really cool. So that's kind of the objective for that and what I see happening, on my self-filming side and that gear and all that good stuff, what I'm trying to do for this upcoming season. I'm kind of planning that out now, during this quote unquote off season. Um, and I think that's going to be something I end up doing with the non-typical project here, come next season. So, outside of that, we talk about hunting and next season hunt films, plans, and stuff like that. I am going out of state next season. 125%. I'm going out of state. So I am now using this time period in this off season to look up different states, look up the regulations, if I need to put in for a draw, if they're over the counter, and weighing all of my options. I plan on either putting in for a draw or finding an over the counter mule deer tag because I've heard nothing but good stories from my friends about going out and mule deer hunting out west. And it just seems like an absolute blast. It's a lot different than the way that I hunt whitetail. I've never done it before, and it just seems super exciting to me. So it's definitely a mule deer hunt is going to be uh, on the books for next year or in the running for that. And then the other hunt. So if I can do both, I'll do both. But I have to pick one, then I'm going to figure out which one I can pull off the best. But, the other option or possibly the second hunt is gonna be an over-the-counter, whitetail tag. I might put in for a few draws. I might put in for Kansas or something like that, but I don't expect to draw, on any of those draw hunts or something like that my first time. So I'm definitely gonna have like I might put in for some draws, but my backup option if I don't get drawn is gonna be an over the counter state, probably a border state to Missouri, somewhere like Illinois that I can go and just stomp some public land and go try to hunt whitetail and do something I'm familiar with. So I've been doing all the research on that and it's been very eye-opening to me, um, how much there is to consider. Like, y- not necessarily the places that are easiest for me to get to, or the least of a drive, or you know, the easiest to pull off are not necessarily the areas that I'm sitting there like, oh yeah, this looks banging. A lot of them look like, oh wow, this looks like it gets absolutely pounded. And that takes the wind out of the sails a little bit. So I've been really trying to plan out like, okay, let's not look at this through the lens of what's the closest drive or what's the easiest property to access as much as it is, okay, I'm just going to try to e-scout a property that genuinely looks the best, based on what I personally know about whitetail and how I hunt. And we're going to go ahead and make some drives this summer to go test those theories and go scout those properties and see if they actually are as good as they look. So I've had to find that balance because I almost want to have put the training wheels on. Like I want to take baby steps with the out of state thing. Um, because I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to drive 11 hours, like that, drive 11 hours somewhere I've never been and just hope it's good. So I've been like, well, what if I find somewhere 4 hours away or whatever, something. But uh, it's funny to me because I know that I need to just jump into it 2 feet first and be like, all right, let's find the best option and just do the best option. Let's just do that. But I don't know what it is that gets to me about an out of state trip. Maybe it's just because I've never done it before, but it's been very intimidating. So I've been trying to narrow that down a little bit, doing a lot of e-scouting and kind of opening my eyes up to options that I hadn't considered before. Like I mentioned Illinois, but it's like, well, Indiana might be the option instead, or Ohio, or somewhere like that. And yeah, it's a further drive, but do I think that I'm going to have better odds? So I'm trying to look at it through the odds situation rather than the ease. So kind of learning to put giving myself the best experience and the best odds over giving myself the easiest experience. That's something that I've been trying to kind of shift my focus towards and figure out for this upcoming season. So with all that being said, I know that was a ton of rambling and a ton of ranting and all that good stuff. Um, Probably not the most exciting episode. We didn't have a guest. I've been burning the candle at both ends lately, so I kind of forgot to book somebody for this week. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna hop on, talk about the off season, talk about the stuff that I'm working on, stuff I'm trying to fix, and give a few pointers and tips here and there that genuinely make a difference to me. Oh wait, before I hop off, I also have during turkey season, I've got a hot date with the taxidermist to go drop off my antlers from my September buck. um, well, it's a hot date for him because I drop off my antlers and a little bit more money, you know. For me though, I'm not gonna see my buck back until I'm not gonna get my buck back until once I drop the antlers off. He already has the cape, but once I drop the rack off, I'm not gonna see my buck again until March of 27, I believe. So long time. He might get it done earlier than that, but as of right now, the official due date is March of 2027. So I've been holding on to his Euro mount and his antlers since I dropped the cape off. And I've had him in my possession and get to look at him and hold him all the time. But those days are about to come to a sad, sad end. And when he gets dropped off at the taxidermist, and then I won't see him again for a little while until he's done. So that is one thing I did want to mention because I'm pretty excited about that. But it's gonna be a little bittersweet thing because I have really enjoyed having his rack just present in the office with me since I took him. I'm sure he's gonna turn out absolutely gorgeous though once the taxidermist is wrapped up with them, but that is one more off-season thing I've taken care of. So once again, guys, I know it wasn't a guest episode, probably not as exciting and fun, but I think it's important to talk about the off-season stuff, and this is kind of my little vocal journal for you guys of what I'm working on in the off-season, things I'm excited about, things that I'm trying to improve on, and hopefully it jogs your guys' memory of some things to try out. Get into competition archery if you're not into it. Find ways to just kind of stay active all year long because, you know, if you're anything like me, this passion is, I mean, it runs deep. You know, it's something that kind of, I've mentioned this before, kind of makes up my identity a lot. And I think it does for probably a lot of you guys too. So it can be really tough when deer season ends and then you're sitting there like, man, I guess I'm just sitting here waiting for turkey season. The turkey season passes and you're like, man, I guess I just go fishing or something, you know, which I love doing that too. I love going out on the river and catfishing, but you know, there always feel like there's this empty spot when deer season's out. But, you know, I found a good way to fill that with competition archery and with scouting as much as I can, even in February and March, and you know, working on my self-filming gear, tinkering with my bow, or doing any of those things like that. That does help me feel that much more prepared for the next season, and it makes it feel like season's never really over. Like it's always still kind of there. I'm always, if I'm not in it, I'm getting ready for it. So just a couple things I like to do there. Hopefully any of that information or those tips helps you guys out. If it doesn't, hopefully you at least enjoyed this rant. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. But thank you guys so much, like I said at the beginning, for all the continued support and for tuning into these episodes and this podcast. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you guys for the positive feedback. If you guys do have any feedback for me or anything you'd want to add in, feel free to shoot me a message if you have any questions or anything else, or drop a comment down below. And if you guys do enjoy the podcast, been meaning to add this in lately. If you guys do enjoy the podcast, please give it a follow and leave a review. The reviews help me out so much more than you guys know. There have been a couple that have popped up recently that I've been absolutely tickled pink to see some reviews pop up. And so that always helps me out a ton to let me know that you guys are enjoying it. So thanks again. This was episode 8 of the Non-Typical Project, and I'm going to catch you guys again next week. And we're going to talk about something that's not competition archery. Probably. Might be a little bit. I don't know. That's what I'm doing right now. So, but I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Non-Typical Project. If you want to check out our special guests, their social media handles are located in the episode description. If you want to keep up to date with the Non-Typical Project, you can search the Non-Typical Project on Instagram. You can also head over to the main page of the podcast to see all currently available episodes with a new episode every Friday. To keep up to date with me, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Dean_Hunts. And everything will once again be down below in the episode description. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.